Welcome to TV20 News. I'm Dan Monroe. Here's a look at what's coming up ahead.
Children got to submit what's on their Christmas list this year, and then Santa is delivering those individualized gifts to them. Brunch, shopping, and a visit with Santa. There was no shortage of holiday magic at this year's Christmas event with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Greater Cleveland.
We need to do this together, and that's what this is all about, coming together.
A global effort to end gender-based violence plays out in Cleveland. This year's White Ribbon Campaign event and the importance of men getting involved in the movement.
Today we're here with the Garden Valley community, bowling, we had breakfast with Santa, and we're having a good time.
And after a devastating apartment fire, the Cleveland Browns step up to bring some holiday cheer to the Garden Valley community. I'm here in Collinwood where Cantonese Classic is showing off their newest location right here at the Greater Cleveland Food Bank Community Resource Center. Cantonese Classic was founded some 23 years ago by two brothers with a passion for the food industry. Now they have grown into one of the best distributors of the freshest seafood, meats, and specialty foods in town, serving the finest restaurants, country clubs, hotels, and retailers throughout Ohio. And now they have moved their operations to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank's Community Resource Center in Collinwood. And Chief Executive Officer John Cantonese says that partnering with the food bank is a perfect fit.
We've been looking for a building for 4 or 5 years, and we weren't able to find anything. I had owned a bunch of land in the flats. We bought the old State Fish building in 2008, and so we were buying up the land around there. We were going to tear it all down and do a new facility, but it became cost prohibitive. And then we heard about the food bank, and we came over here, and it was kind of love at first sight. And we just wanted to know how we'd fit in. And to be honest with you, there's like 16 partners in this building, and we all get along like it's family.
That family vibe quickly turned into a partnership with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. It's a partnership that Food Bank President and CEO Kristen Rozoka is glad to have.
We've got a wonderful for-profit partner. The Cantonese family has moved in, and they're using some of our dry storage space, our cold storage space, and our kitchen space for their wonderful fine food distribution business. So they become very quickly a financial donor, a food donor, and a wonderful partner who, provides non-traditional revenue to help us cover some of the programmatic costs here. We're delighted to have them.
Ward 8 Councilman Mike Polensik said he too is excited to see Cantonese Classics bring their business to his beloved Collinwood neighborhood, and he's hoping to see bigger things from them in the future.
When we worked with them a long time, and they were being courted by other cities, other areas, and to me, it was very important. Everyone knows I'm a great supporter, longtime supporter of the Cleveland Food Bank. I helped them from day one to build this building, and when we were in negotiations with the food bank and Cantonese, we did everything we could to assist them. Just think about it, today, 87 jobs with Cantonese right here, 87 jobs in Collinwood. And when you look at what they've done, the space that they've renovated, not only does it keep those 87 jobs in Cleveland paying taxes, but it benefits the food bank. It just reinforces the food bank in our neighborhood, the Cleveland Food Bank Resource Center. I'm hoping at some point that we can actually see a retail outlet here. I've suggested that to Cantonese because they're just not about seafood. They sell all kind of other products. So what's important today, it's jobs for Cleveland and Collinwood. And again, welcome to Collinwood. That's what we want to say to them.
As you can see, 125 new jobs, a brand new partnership. It's a win-win situation for Cantonese Classic and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. Cleveland Metropolitan School District dads are closing out the year by learning new and fun ways to get kids involved in reading. It's all part of the Fathers Matter Level Up sessions, which are for fathers, male role models, educators, and community partners. The goal is to provide support, resources, and engagement for dads and their scholars at Cleveland Metropolitan Schools.
What I want the fathers to be able to leave with is something a little bit more, to add something else to their tool belt, something they hadn't considered, that aha moment, like you never thought about that, let me try it. Whether they have a preteen, they got an elementary student, they maybe have a college student. But the idea is that everyone, iron sharpens iron. Each one can support somebody in this process.
The session had a special guest, journalist and children's book author Margaret Bernstein, who was invited to speak to the dads about the importance of reading with their children.
My books are all about creating special moments between a dad and a child. So I write these books because I am just convinced that kids need to read more at home. And if I can write a book that kids will really beg Dad to read over and over again, then that's my ulterior motive. That's why I'm doing it, because now I know that reading is happening at home.
You can learn more about upcoming events at clevelandmetroschools.org/CMSD Fathers Matter. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Cleveland partnered with Cross Country Mortgage to welcome 200 children and their mentors for the second annual Big Holiday Magic. The event, held at Cross Country Mortgage headquarters in downtown Cleveland, included brunch, gingerbread house making, a holiday shop for kids to go shopping for gifts at no cost, and a special visit from Santa Claus himself.
We did a wish list before the event, so children got to submit what's on their Christmas list this year, and then Santa is delivering those individualized gifts to them. We really wanted to make this an experience that would bring a lot of joy to these children who may not otherwise have certain experiences like this throughout the year. So it's been a really exciting and meaningful event to have them come in, have them see Santa, and enjoy just a really stress-free, happy morning.
My favorite part of events like this, I would say, is when the kids walk in and they see just how much Christmas magic is about to come at them. They just light up and get so excited. It's my favorite thing to see every year.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Cleveland says they're always looking for volunteers. You can sign up at bbbscle.org. Well, the holidays are here, and that means spending money on gifts for friends and family, but how can you do that without going overboard on your checking account or raising your balances in your credit card or finding the best deals? Joining me now is Dr. Jonathan Ernest, Assistant Professor of Economics at Case Western's Weatherhead School of Management. Dr. Ernest, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a tough time right now. It seems like things are getting more and more expensive. So what should people know to kind of rein in those impulses, those gift buying, and trying to find the best deals?
Yeah, so you're right. Over the last few years, we've seen a lot of inflation that had started to temper some, but prices are still really high compared to what they were, say, just a few years ago. And people are facing that as they go out to, make those holiday purchases. And so really what people want to start to do is consider, first of all, always have a budget that you're planning to try to stay within. And then before you start making lots of those purchases, try to figure out, are these going to put me over? Should I, trade in this particular item for another item, things like that. And one great thing that you can do is a lot of, especially Gen Z, has started to kind of come up with, let's go out and buy, secondhand items that might be more quality, really useful, that won't break the bank, but are still a nice thing that I can put some effort into. And so we've seen a lot of that happening as well, where people are kind of saying, new items are getting very expensive with tariffs, with, just increased cost of production. Some of those older items might actually be higher quality and a much better deal for you. So that might be one immediate way to go to try to shrink that spending a little bit and stay within that holiday budget.
You hit a buzzword called tariffs. Tariffs, it seems like we hear it every day. How is that affecting our shopping for the holiday season? Yeah,
so 2025 has been big on this idea of tariffs, which for the last century or so, we had seen kind of fade away in terms of, overall usage of something like tariffs affecting the price of things coming into the country. This year, we saw large increases in the amount of tariffs being levied on products coming from all sorts of places around the world. And that's really started to affect the prices of some of those items that you might be looking at buying. So when you're thinking about spending those dollars for the holiday, some of that might be, well, maybe I can find items that are produced more locally, using more local inputs that aren't subject to those tariffs. Or it might be just, shopping around a little and saying, well, if products from coffee from Brazil is being taxed at 50% or something like that, then maybe I can find some comparable coffee from somewhere else that's being taxed at a lower rate, and all of a sudden it's a better deal in that sense. So you want to keep those in mind and realize that those tariffs aren't evenly affecting everything that you might want to buy. And so some things might be very similar in price or even lower than they were last year in 2024, and other things might be substantially more. And that's one of the things that you want to come back to, is that if you're saving that, order some coffee for your favorite coffee-loving friend or relative, and you're going to order it a few days before Christmas and hope it ships in time and gets there and gets to them, that you might find that that price is much higher this year and puts you over that budget that you set. So you want to take a look and be sure and kind of plan ahead before you start making all those orders.
Okay. One of the things I'm seeing now too, especially for things like PayPal, is payment plans for sometimes with no fees. Are those good things? If so, also what should we watch out for with those as well?
Yeah, so it can be really useful to say, I don't want to pay these several $100s right up front right now. I need to stretch my budget today, but I could make those payments over time. The catch that you want to kind of look out for, especially if there's, say, even zero interest kind of policies on those, is that if you, for example, miss one of those payments or don't make them on time or have a few dollars remaining that you would still owe, oftentimes you're hit with the entire amount of interest that would then accrue, and you'll owe a lot more for that product than you would otherwise want. Otherwise, kind of traditional layaway type plans, you would go in and you'd say, well, I won't get the product until I've fully paid it off, but keep it over in kind of the back room for me while I make these payments toward it. And then the danger was you never come in and make all of the payments and actually get the item, and you're paying on something that you never receive. Now it's usually you get the item up front, you get to enjoy it, you're having a good time with it, but you might lose track of those payments, especially if you get into the next year and you're focused on other things in 2026. You want to make sure that you don't miss those, because you could face heavy fees or additional interest that you have to pay that you hadn't budgeted for or hadn't planned for, that makes it just way more expensive than what you wanted to pay for that item.
Before we wrap up, Dr. Ernest, talk about the importance of spending within your means. In other words, maybe you don't need to buy that 75-inch TV. Talk about that.
Yeah, so part of these payment plans even is that, you say, well, if it's $15 a month, I can definitely afford that, but you need to keep in mind that overall price you're eventually paying, and if you're doing that for many items, you're probably extending over your budget. So you want to keep that kind of total purchase price in mind. You also want to make sure that you're saying, yeah, if a 75-inch TV is a little bit more than my budget could probably allow, there are other things that you could adjust and do. So you could trade down to a slightly less expensive model. You could get a slightly smaller TV. You could find other options for having something else to enjoy with those dollars, depending on what works best for you and your budget. You don't have to get locked in and fixated on a particular item, and then when you get to the store, find out that it's more than you expected or more than you budgeted for. You're not forced to go through with purchasing that item. So it's fine to abandon the item from your shopping cart and then say, I'll readjust, come back later, and maybe I can still purchase that item, or maybe I should adjust because I'm going to go over my budget and I don't want to do that and accrue lots of interest and fees.
You said the word budget a lot. If people aren't really good with working with numbers or anything like that, talk about some online resources so they can help you make that budget.
Yeah, so there's lots of different tools and apps online that you can use. You can really find what works for you. So you can find some that will bring in your bank account information, track your spending, tell you what categories your money's going to. There are others that help you plan ahead much more, and you say, well, I'm going to budget and make sure that money's put away for those necessities that I need, that my utilities and rent are getting paid, and then this is how much kind of fun spending money I have in this category, and it's not my whole paycheck, it's that smaller portion. And hopefully those are also helping you set aside some for saving, for investing, so that you can grow those dollars you're making now and enjoy more 75-inch TVs later.
All right, Dr. Jonathan Ernest, thank you for the abridged financial lesson. I appreciate it as always.
Absolutely, wonderful talking to you.
Everyone here at TV20 would like to congratulate the mighty Glenville Tarblooders as they won their third state title in 4 years by blowing out the Shelby Whippets by a score of 45-7.
You often hear that young people don't know, but when you make them aware and ask them to take a stance for something that's very important.
It may just be a piece of ribbon, but it symbolizes so much more. Next, you'll meet a group of boys who are working toward advancing gender equity and building allyship.
At this location, we really looked at what they needed to beautify their space.
It's a project to improve learning environments for kids in Cleveland. We learn about citywide renovations with Pre for Clee next on TV20. TV20 and the Cleveland Division of Fire have teamed up to bring you these Christmas tree safety tips to make your holidays even better. Watch out for electrical issues by inspecting lights and extension cords for wear and damage, and never run them under carpets or across doorways. Unplug your tree before you go to bed at night or before you leave the house. Keep your tree 3 feet away from ignition sources such as space heaters, fireplaces, or candles. Never place a lit candle on your Christmas tree. And keep your tree watered every day. On behalf of TV20 and the Cleveland Division of Fire, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We're looking at one of the Cleveland Early Learning Spaces. It's part of Pre for CLE, which is working to expand access to high-quality preschool for all 3- and 4-year-olds in the city. The East End Neighborhood House on Wood Hill Road is one of 5 renovations happening across the city. Congresswoman Chantel Brown played a role in securing the federal community project funds for renovations. She was there to tour the site as well. The project focuses on early learning environments.
At this location, we really looked at what they needed to beautify their space, to make the lighting better inside, to support early learning, and to create a calming environment. So some of the things we did were update all of the lighting throughout the site, update the flooring so that it is modern and soft on little toes and feet and knees, and make sure that the paint colors throughout are fresh and calming and creating the kind of environment that supports early learning. And it's really important that we invest, just like we do in other structures in our city. We're investing where people live and grow and thrive.
You can read more about the timeline of renovations for all these centers at pre4cle.org. It's the largest global-led movement to stop violence against women, and the Cuyahoga County Domestic Relations Court has been lending its steps to the movement for several years now. Cornell Calhoun III tells us about the White Ribbon Campaign.
I pledge to never commit, condone, or remain silent about violence against women, children, and intimate partners.
On the steps of the old Cuyahoga County Courthouse in downtown Cleveland.
We've been helping sponsor this event for several years.
Stands a group committed to promoting safety, respect, and nonviolence.
People wear a white ribbon and they stand up and they make a pledge to never condone violence.
The annual White Ribbon Campaign is part of the global movement, 16 Days of Activism.
One of the beauties of this campaign is that it involves young men.
And is the largest global-led movement of men and boys working to end gender-based violence.
Male Minority Leadership Group is a group of young men who started 20 years ago to help create service-oriented, to help combat the opportunity gap, to take some young men and give them ideas of what it is to serve.
This year's event was organized by the Male Minority Leadership Group along with the Healthy Fathering Collaborative. The two organizations work to promote healthy relationships and encourage positive engagement from men and boys.
It's important that those young people are here today, those young men, to break any stereotypes, to break any loops or trauma that happens over and over again, to let them show that they can make a difference.
The Cuyahoga County Domestic Relations Court sponsors the event yearly.
It's really significant for us because we have a domestic violence department. We are responsible for civil protection orders in family matters where people that are related or have lived together. And it's a big part of our docket.
Such a growing problem that the court recently received a Violence Against Women Act grant to increase their services in the department.
It's not just about what we do as a court to stop the violence, to give somebody a protection order, to help them escape violence. It's about stopping its root and the generational nature of violence.
We need to do this together, and that's what this is all about, coming together.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know is looking for help from the Domestic Relations Court, visit domestic.cuyahogacounty.gov, or you can call them at 216-443-3155.
The College and Career Pathways Fair is an exposure opportunity for students to learn about the different career and college pathway options available for school year 26-27.
The Cleveland Public Library is excited to host this year's College and Career Pathways Fair. We are honored to open up our doors to thousands of CMSB scholars so as they choose their high school for next year.
So students are taking an interest inventory assessment, and that is surrounded by their interests, their aptitudes, and skills. And so with that, they are able to couple that information with the different career opportunities that's not only in Cleveland, but in the nation as a whole. Take that information and they can also see what high schools are offered within the district. And so by the time they do come to the fair, they can have authentic conversations with the principals around what those interests are. This is an opportunity for scholars to engage with school principals, school staff, and students to really understand what the school culture is so that they can see themselves within the schools.
We are going to give them in their hands a fun pencil that's decorated and a notebook. And the goal of that is for them to, when they go and they ask questions or they're seeking, understanding of why they should choose this school or why that principal wants them to choose their school. The goal is that they write down notes because their parent isn't here. Their parent is ultimately going to be the one to help them make the choice. But they have to have the tools to go back and share. And as they leave the building, they're going to get a bookmark. And that bookmark is going to have the tools that the instructions that families will need to be able to make the choice. And then on the other side of that bookmark is going to be all of the ways that the Cleveland Public Library can be a partner with parents and families as they continue to work in high school and career. We take our partnership with CMSD extremely seriously. We meet with them regularly to ensure that we're aligned in our goals and the ways that the library wants to wrap around young people. We continue to partner with even our library cards. Every CMSD scholar has a library card and it's through their student ID. So they have access to getting on computers. They have access to be able to come down to Tech Central and make and create things that they want to create. But most importantly, they have access to check out books and resources so they can continue to grow.
I want students to be affirmed in their choice and that they have a clear idea of what each school offers, but also we want them to see themselves graduate from CMSD with a close connection with that school. Mm-hmm. So having all the information, with that information, connect with their parents, friends, and peers to make this choice. Be curious, ask questions, mm-hmm. connect with the school staff to see how their dream can become a reality.
Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Coming up, some holiday cheer for a community that's still recovering from a devastating apartment fire. The Cleveland Browns visit the Garden Valley community. That's next on TV20.
Greetings. I'm TV20's Cornell Calhoun III, award-winning playwright, producer, filmmaker, and proud son of Cleveland, Ohio. I am the host of Conversations with Cal and Creative Focus that celebrate the city's incredible art scene. The voices, the vision, the vibrant stories that shape who we are. From local heroes to rising stars, we're telling Cleveland's story. Bold, brilliant, and beautifully creative. So join me on TV20 for Conversations with Cal and Creative Focus, because our city is full of talent and it's time to shine a light on it.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dave Margolius, Director of Public Health for the City of Cleveland. In this role, my #1 priority is reducing the smoking rate in the City of Cleveland. Unfortunately, Cleveland's smoking rate is 35%, the highest in the nation, and smoking remains the leading preventable cause of death, disability, and disease in our country. But I believe we can change that. Did you know that the majority of people who smoke actually want to quit? It's just so difficult, especially menthol cigarettes. and it's our residents who are specifically targeted by big tobacco. The outcomes are devastating on our collective health. Smoking too often leads to premature disease and needless suffering. If you have loved ones who smoke, please help them quit. And if you are a smoker, please know that help is available. We have a long list of options to help you successfully kick the habit. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Together, I know we can reduce smoking rates in Cleveland. Thank you.
We're in the City Hall, City of Cleveland Rotunda for the Mayor's 2025 tree trimming.
Kids across Cleveland took part in the yearly tree trimming event in City Hall's Rotunda with Mayor Justin Bibb. Children from Cleveland Rec Centers got to place ornaments on the tree and go home with some gifts donated by the Cavs' own Darius Garland. Everyone was also able to enjoy some cookies, a performance from John Marshall High School's marching band, and a visit from Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
We love seeing their faces and expressions, and Santa and I coming down from the North Pole every year to celebrate this wonderful, joyous occasion with the city of Cleveland.
It's been 5 months since an apartment complex fire in Cleveland's Garden Valley neighborhood. And as those families continue working through the loss, the city, along with the Cleveland Browns, stepped in to help. From breakfast to bowling to a visit from the Browns and even Santa.
Sign the best. Right here, I'm signing right there.
We're here today to give back to the community.
Today we're here with the Garden Valley community, bowling, we had breakfast with Santa, and we're having a good time.
I play for Garden Valley, and I got invited here today. I wanted to meet like all of these dudes. Jaku coming in here and be like, yee, yee, yee. First when we got here, when everybody got here, we started bowling. We ate, and then we started getting autographs, taking pictures.
For them to come out here and do whatever they could do and make all their time just for us.
Making sure that the community can get something out of a troubled time is the best thing.
Laughter is free. Love is free, and we're just pouring that back in there.
Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Woo. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Woo. Here we go, brownies.
The event also offered families access to things like medical coverage, vaccinations, and employment opportunities. Have you seen the latest video we posted on the TV20 Cleveland YouTube page? If not, then head over to YouTube and search for TV20 Cleveland so you can stay up to date on everything going on in our great city. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching TV20 News. I'm Dan Monroe. Take care, Cleveland.